No more numbing. How to stop numbing your feelings and let go of past hurts. Life is simply a series of experiences. We as human beings have a tendency to label our experiences as positive or negative. Some of our experiences make us feel loved, appreciated, supported, and capable. These we label as good, as they bring us good feelings. Those experiences that we label as bad oftentimes fill us with shame, fear, anger, envy, or dread, and leave us feeling defeated, abandoned, unloved, and alone. Rather than process and let go of negative feelings and sit with our emotions, many times because they don't feel good and we don't want to sit in places that are uncomfortable, we choose instead to distract ourselves and bury our pain. But buried pain has a way of showing up over and over, especially when you least expect it. Let's explore how, we can all pay attention to learning to breathe, pause and reflect, and sit in uncomfortable situations to process and clear them versus, set them aside for another day where they pop up and make us feel unpleasant. When life is good and we feel good, we feel on top of the world and we feel like we're firing on all cylinders. We make good choices for ourselves, we think clearly, and we feel like we're in control of our lives and managing our relationships and commitments and responsibilities better. We navigate good times without any trouble. But when the going gets tough, we get frustrated, overwhelmed, anxious, and life can quickly devolve into a whole different story for us. Many times, we feel life is stressful and responsible, and we have a tendency to want to numb or escape unpleasant or uncomfortable situations. So oftentimes, when we find ourselves in rough waters, experiencing unpleasant or uncomfortable emotions, we then sometimes seek to relieve our pain and suffering or subside our symptoms through numbing behaviors. Numbing behaviors come in many forms, like overworking, overeating, or oversleeping, to over-inviting in mind-altering substances like alcohol, drugs, binging on distractions like pornography, video games, food, TV. Some of us may even turn to obsessive shopping, gambling, or socializing to a point where we're so distracted that we suppress any unpleasant feelings that arise when you're alone. Avoiding negative emotions is not the answer. Life is a series of experiences, positive and negative. These feelings come on strong, but our job is not to push things aside. Our job is to live fully, experience fully, love fully, but also hurt fully. Many times sonnets and love songs endlessly attempt to describe the euphoria of falling in love. We beam with pride and confidence when we accomplish something or our child hits a home run. We end up having a flood of positive emotions and sensations at times, like when we receive good news like a promotion, a raise, get pregnant, or have a new opportunity that is exciting for us in our lives. However, when we have bad news or difficulties or challenges pop up, they feel like a punch to the gut. We've heard of people saying they feel like they're frozen. We got fight, flight, or fear as a reaction. Or we sometimes burn in rage. Or we feel offended by people, hurt, disappointed. Or we feel like stress hits us like a ton of bricks. Positive and negative emotions do have a really big way of navigating our life, emotionally and physically, in the moment when they show up. Many times these feelings can be powerful, overwhelming, and all-encompassing. When these experiences that are difficult show up in your life, it's important to explore, the negative concept we've tied to them, and also explore the pain behind them. Because every time we avoid sitting and processing our feelings, we tend to bury them, ignore them, deny them. However, they do pop back up over and over many times sometimes until you address and have compassion for a difficult situation, compassion for a time that's not ideal, compassion for the anxiety and self-doubt or fear of uncertainty that's popping up. When we numb our negative emotions, we think we're sometimes taking care of it or pushing it aside so that they won't pop up and we're strong. But all we're really doing is postponing. We're postponing the processing and the clearing. And eventually, at some point, you're going to have to do it. And so unprocessed negative events or experiences lead us into a state of despair and dread. Numbing may provide you with temporary relief, but it's not sustainable, and nor does it banish your negative experiences. There is nothing wrong with remembering and recalling negative events from your past. What's unhealthy is still having an intense emotional response to it. When we have negative affect that is very high, tied to past events, that means it's a signal that your system wants you to process, clear, and not allow this incident from the past to be brought up into the present. Many times we get confused about what are we doing? How do we get past something? Well, simply getting past something is about dealing with emotional debris, emotional memory of things that went wrong or disappointed you or hurt you in the past. Let's take a mindful moment today to recognize emotional debris, emotional memory from the past. We've learned and grown from everything that has happened in our lives. But the way to really process is to acknowledge with compassion and love the hardships that we sometimes go through and how we are strong enough. Life only gives you what you can handle as you are still standing and you're still here, no matter how overwhelmed, frustrated, and full of symptoms you have. These painful memories can sometimes link us to negative thoughts, and we bring up obstacles in our path, being afraid of repeating old cycles. I do believe we do the best we can with what we have. And today who we are sometimes is a better version of who we were yesterday because we've learned and grown from some of these difficulties. But these difficulties are important for you to acknowledge, not push aside. And cleaning up emotional debris means allowing yourself to remember memories, but not with intense affect of fear, anxiety, self-doubt, and then wanting to numb, but instead acknowledging, pausing and reflecting to see the pain, the suffering, the sadness, and giving yourself permission to acknowledge what you went through and have compassion for how hard life can truly be sometimes. Clearing and healing is just that, allowing yourself to sit with things that are uncomfortable and process the unprocessed pain. Hold ourselves in a space to feel the emotions and also seek the resources and help that we need to sometimes get through something and allow ourselves to leave the past in the past. Then you allow yourself to grow and bring back a moment of happiness in the here and now to see the good over the bad. Many times we have to choose to clear things as they naturally doesn't happen unless you sit with them. And many times becoming unstuck is trying to be healthy. The one thing I try to teach a lot of patients is being healthy is a full-time job. You really have to work at it, whether it's working out, eating clean, or sitting with uncomfortable feelings and situations, thinking about them, and then communicating your needs, asking for help, or just learning to see what you personalized from unhealthy situations. As we begin to heal, we trust ourselves. You become stronger in relying on yourselves and not being afraid of uncertainty. You feel then more sense of control in your lives, and you know that life only brings me what I can handle. Good or bad, I will handle it. That extra self-care you give yourself during a time of need makes you stronger. And as we clear past hurts, we move into happier, more fulfilled and content moments. Let's take a mindful moment to reflect on what emotional debris from the past you've blocked, pushed aside, and maybe you need to face. And allow yourself to recognize what are some unhealthy habits you do to numb versus face difficult symptoms and pain. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Another deep breath in and breathe out. And let's have a mindful moment, a minute in silence reflecting on the topic talked about today. As I gently welcome you back from this mindful minute, remind yourself of some of the points today. It's important to clear emotional debris, emotional memory of anything from the past that has hurt your heart, as pushing it aside just brings it back at a different time or brings it back in cycles over and over. Clearing and clearing emotional debris is important for us to make room for a better, more fulfilling life. So always remember to decide to let go of past hurts, process them, rather than hold on and feel stuck with them. Or even worse, numb your emotions with unhealthy habits that keep you there. Sit with negative emotions and your painful memories. Acknowledge whatever part you may have played in a negative situation and how much you have learned and grown from there. We do grow. Forgive and release yourself and others for past hurts. As many times people do the best they can with what they have, and many times people don't know better, or even worse, they're in low self-esteem spilling over onto you. Don't take in people's stuff as yours. Bring in self-care, compassion for pains endured, and obtain the help you need from others or resources if you need it.